Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios. I'm your Stockminer Brian Johnson, and here we go again. We had another dog fight. We had a gap up start the day, big move down intraday. Lots of selling, hard selling coming in. Internals were confirming that move to a certain degree. It wasn't strong by any means. It was a hard push down, but it wasn't a strong move down from the internal standpoint. Regardless, we did see a pretty sizable push down, and then, of course, at the end of the day, we come right back up to pretty much finish the day break even from where we ended yesterday. So, bulls try to take over, bears step in, do a little dance, and at the end of the day, they shake hands and walk away. Nothing broken up here. Everything's right back to the way it was. Still more bullish than bearish for the most part, as long as it hangs out up here in this area. On the Dow, you can see this blue line still holding pretty well. Now, what did we get? We did get that push up and over 11,200 today. I mentioned to you that would be the area to be watching next. And if there was any kind of a push above it, to be very careful because of these little head fakes. We got one today. Any further pushes to the upside, I think, may stick. We may actually get one to stick up there. But once again, continue to be very cautious to the long side in your trading. As you can see from a good week ago or so, we're already kind of break even on the whole thing. You can see the dance we've been doing the last few days. Now, this has not been so bad for intraday traders, giving opportunity to trade at least one direction or the other. Problem here is it has not been very good to people that A, are maybe a little bit unsure of what exactly they're doing, or B, the swing traders. They're just not making any money. The market is really continuing to grind its way up, and grind is a great word. It's exactly what we saw back here. See this little February to March, April move? It seemed like, we'd get these red candles and everybody'd go, oh, here we go, there it is. No, guess not. And then we'd start all over, and bulls would just buy it back up. We're seeing the same thing over here. Look, it's that same type of a move. Now, it did not end well the last time. We had a pretty big push to the downside. However, we don't know. It will happen. It's gonna happen. We are gonna get a pullback. The question is always, as it always is, when? When are we gonna get a pullback? Well, for myself and my trading, I just really don't care. When it happens, and that'll be great. I'll take the trades when I get them. But for the time being, I'm still remaining neutral to bullish, as I have been most of this March up. It's just the charts are not telling me to do anything differently. And we're still in a situation where the charts are not telling me to do anything differently. So we'll allow this thing to play itself out, run along, and as long as it does, we'll keep taking trades when we get them. Now there's that little push above the 11,200. I said be careful, up to about 11,200 to 11,260 or 250 or so. That's where you want to watch that particular overhead level. We had one little head fakey today. If we get another push above, maybe we do finally get up and into another 11,300 area or something to that effect. But anybody's guess at this point. Got to be cautious. Back below this level, the 10,875 still my mark to get short. Here's the Nasdaq on a 16. You can see this was a perfect sideways motion here. Almost a perfect double top, missed by about a point. So there is the potential for that to play out. But once we break above 2107 or so, it's probably off to the races again for the Nasdaq. You can see that they have still not in any way broken the bull move, holding this blue line very nicely the entire way up. Heading towards that 2100 overhead area, 2100 to 2150 area, and you can see that today we hit 2106 again, but we just can't seem to really get the legs to get too much higher than that. We're really running out of steam up here, but as long as it hangs around up here, we're good. Looking for pushes back below 2060 to start to go with the Nasdaq market. From a weekly, we got 1 day left, and it's doing a great job of hanging up here. It's making it. So far, it's hanging on. A look at the week's total so far for volume. Das ist nicht sehr gut. But it's holding up. And as long as it stays up there, it's fine for the bulls. Volume doesn't have to be off the charts or anything like that. But as long as it stays up there, it's just fine for the bulls, as long as they can hold on to that. SPX on a 60-minute too as well. You can see it dance around with this blue line. I can all but put another blue line up here too, and maybe I'll do that this weekend. But as it is, look, bulls right back in charge. We saw a little move to the downside here, bounced hard off of this 1160 area. Huge run up yesterday. And like I said, gap up, run down, come back to about break even. for the day. I think ultimately, what was the S&P? Let me look over here at my little chart. Up to 2 points. Yeah, big deal. Nas up 2, S&P up 2, Dow was up 38 whopping points, but there was a huge move during the course of the day. Once again, giving great opportunities for day traders, not much for investment type traders. We did see a push above the 1185, and I talked about 1190. I talked about this 1195 mark, and it's still a big source of overhead resistance. Here you can see on a daily the push up, the push down, and ultimately we end with a little, what is a rickshaw man? Is that what they call that? Whatever. We end with a doji here at the end of the day, and that is basically neutral. Like I said, they just decided to shake hands and go home today, and nobody beat each other up. However, point being, we got a drop below this mark, a move back above that mark, and now 2 days again above this support area. So until this is broken on a more either a really large move down and or a couple of days at least below this 1170-ish mark, Bull's got it. Bull's still in charge here, and the potential for a 1200 to 1220 is still in the near immediate future. It could happen. So we'll just continue to watch this, watching for breaks up and over this 1190 area. But look what we're coming to, the weekly, and that is at the 1195 mark. Talked hard about this over the weekend. I've been talking about it all week, and I'm going to continue to talk about it because it is important. This week we've almost made it up there. Okay, 1189 so far for the week. We're getting close. It's inching its way up there. I thought maybe we would hit it this week, and we still could. We do have 1 day left in the week. But if not this week, then maybe next week. If the bulls continue to keep it up here, they got to keep this. You got to keep this up here to have any chance of being able to push it even higher, because they're not making large headway here. You can see the candles get smaller and smaller and smaller. It's just getting tougher and tougher and tougher for the bulls to get up there, just like we saw back here. Just like we saw back here. The VIX on a daily also was down today, 52 or 2.6%, holding well within this little falling wedge that we see. We've seen that it's been crawling in that thing for quite a while. Weekly as well, holding between two lines of support and resistance here. No fear in the market. A VIX at 19, nobody's scared of anything. There's just nothing going on. The dollar had a bit of a move today and has been consolidating, and actually consolidated most, if not all, of the day once it got up to a particular point in the sand. And I can see that it's kind of doing more of the same even in the after hours. It's not really moving all that much. It kind of got stuck, and now it's been staying there. And that's why we saw a little bit of non-movement. Well, I'll tell you what we did see. We actually saw the dollar move sideways, and the markets moved up on the sideways move by the dollar. So just a hint that it's not always moving in tandem. It isn't always about the dollar. But we saw quite a bit of sideways motion this afternoon in the dollar itself for a good couple hours, probably 2, maybe 3 hours. And the markets kept moving up, kept moving up, kept moving up, kept moving up. So we'll see if that has any impact on things coming into tomorrow. But point being, the VIX, there's no fear in the markets. And the dollar isn't really jumping upwards in any kind of big way. So there's no real fear coming in yet. No reason to be. And it's obvious by the charts there's no reason to be. Apple was down $1 today, but you can see what it's doing, still consolidating. This move here was huge. This big earnings gap down, hit 300 and moved back up. It's consolidating great since that move. So if we just take it from the 300 bounce to the upside, it's a straight up shot with a sideways move. Overall, guys, that is what's called a Bueller, could be just considered a high base at this point. So we don't know if this is an ABC correction in the works. We don't know if this is a new start of one last little wave up or another wave up. I shouldn't say one last wave up. Could be a whole new wave, whatever. Point being, as long as it holds above about 305 and ultimately 300, 295, that's been my mantra, it's fine. It's still doing just fine up here. Apple's doing very well. It's down $1 today, but big deal on a $300 stock. That's nothing. Apple on a weekly as well, you can see holding up great from the week. A huge drop on earnings, and for the week, no harm done. No harm done to Apple yet. It's holding in very, very well. FAS on a 60-minute, we saw the volatility here, the gap up and then the plunge as we came back down. Overall, where did it end up? Yeah, go fig. About even on the day or so. You can see it kind of working in a little bit of a smaller range than the indices did. The indices ended at pretty much break even, whereas this had a little bit of movement to it. But holding the overhead area at 2350, no moves to the downside. Overall, it's sideways. If you're going to day trade it, great. That's the only way to do this right now. Same thing here. We had a gap down with a big move up, but overall still down. All this is still down. I'll draw some lines this weekend, but this looks to me like it's making a kind of a falling wedge here. So still watching breaks down and below 12 bucks and or above 12.90, maybe $13 is still probably a safer long. Any one of those places, you can play it in between if you want. Just be very, very cautious. Keep your stops in place and back off on your position sizes. Here's that falling wedge as well on a bigger time scale. So I'm seeing it kind of two places, which is good. I like to see the confirmation on that. Once again, below about 12 bucks and or above about 13.50, somewhere up in there, whatever, for your entries on these particular indices, or ETFs, sorry, not indices, but ETFs. Be very cautious. Continue to play them on a day trader's basis, because right now they're tough to play from a swing trader's position. I mean, look, a month ago or so, you're pretty much flat. You're not doing anything with this, and you have to deal with the moves of the markets, and it's just been frustrating. So be very cautious. I wouldn't be holding these things overnight. You're only gambling if you do, because it's like a duck. It's like these things are like a duck. They just wake up in a new world every day. You never know what you're going to get. So be very, very cautious with them. For those of you that want to invest in these or hold them for a longer term, you want to wait till it breaks one of these lines before you make that move. Just be really cautious with them. That'll do it for today's video. I'll be back with you again tomorrow. That is tomorrow. For those of you that have been getting in touch with me about the mentoring, thank you. Been lovely talking with you guys. So any other questions, please call me, write me about that. And I'll be doing probably another webinar here in the next week or so. Maybe next week we'll look to get another one done. That was a lot of fun. Had a good time doing that. And we will be back with you guys in tomorrow night's video to end the week. See you then. Bye.